let me just take a look at the games. We have a chance to see the first game. Ravenstert, first time playing for Montreal chessbrah, playing white against Andrei Wolf. Let's take a look at this game. So Sturt played d4, Andrei Wolf opted for the King's Indian, and h3. I used to play this variation, and this variation is one of the most solid approaches by white. Usually it's aimed against the main idea by black, and one of the main ideas by black here is to play e5 followed by knight h5 and f5, breaking on the king's side. So after e5, this is one of the options. Another option could be d takes e5. That's commonly used by Grandmaster Kirill Georgiev from Bulgaria, playing a slightly better endgame and slowly but surely squeezing out your opponent in a better queenless middle game. After d5, a5, this is a very known and the typical way of developing your pieces. Black is just opting for the knight a6, knight c5, bishop g5, provokes h6 weakness, knight a6 and g4. That's basically the main idea of the whole system by white, to play g4 and not just to stop some knight h5 or whatever, but white is just fighting against f5 eventually by black. And just like I told you, just like I mentioned before, f5 is one of the main ideas here by black, because definitely in the King's Indian, because black is always willing to break there somehow and to launch the attack. Queen e8 probably wants to go with knight d7, this knight from d7 to go to c5, and this one to go to b4 and to break with the f5. After bishop e2, knight d7, all these moves are more or less known, and Wolf wants to do a typical maneuver and to eventually break with f5, this knight from a6 to go to b4. Okay, so this is a rookie in our team, a rookie in this pro league, and this is his debut, so let's keep our fingers crossed for him and let's wish him the best of luck. Okay, here we go. White pieces, Aman Hambleton against Grandmaster Sergei Ehrenberg. Aman, who's been doing pretty okay so far in this league, especially considering his draw against Carlsen. In some other games, maybe we just expected a little bit more, but Aman is doing basically really good. I'm just saying a little bit more because we all know his potentials and know that he's got a GM strength. That's why I'm saying this. D takes c4, bishop c4. Common ideas. If black plays ever e5, you know what? He just wants to play knight g5, wants to play some rook to d1. Okay, right now he can go with a3, b4, followed by bishop b2, but also he can go with some rook d1, knight g5, or b3, bishop b2, or a3 and b4. So that's one of the main ideas. Okay, now let's find the games by our black players. Brian Smith, Grandmaster Brian Smith, playing against Alexander Lesiege. Lesiege opted for his favorite e5, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. Lately, I've been working an interesting Drexler counter gambit with black pieces, so this could be interesting. But bishop c5 is just a typical Italian variation. So after c3, knight f6, that's exactly the most popular system, d3. So white, from Italian opening, will play some sort of Rai Lopez, where sooner or later he's going to play a typical knight d2, knight f1, knight g3 maneuver. We'll play short castle, rook e1, h3, and eventually choose a moment when he's going to break in the center with d4. Actually, even though they started like Italian opening, this is going to be a transposition into Ruy Lopez type of games. So after castles, a6, Lesiège opted for this plan where his bishop goes back on a7, then he plays h6, and ideally this knight should go to e7 and g6. And I was hoping he would play this knight e7, but he opted for a bit more solid, but at the same time less ambitious rook e8 and bishop e6. Okay, I mean, he's just trying to trade off the light square bishops, trading off these bishops to equalize this game easier, and he just wants to break with d5, and that's exactly what happened there. So he takes d5 is an interesting move because it threatens to take the pawn on e5. So if queen has to take, and that's a concession that white has to make here. So after bishop a3, queen d7, I just have to say that this is very boring position. I mean, I like this for black. Lesiège, in my opinion, easily equalized with black pieces, but this is so boring, and we'll see what's gonna happen there, but I'm not impressed with existing position, either for white or black, in terms of complications, craziness, or whatever else. And now your favorite chessbrah member, Eric Hansen, playing black. Once again, he used the same idea. This is one of my favorite variations. Actually, he started with b6. And after, I don't know if this is Petrosian variation or Kasparov's variation, but after b6, bishop b7, after he played e6, he just transposed into some sort of queen's Indian defense. I pretty much like these positions for white after a3 because they stopped bishop b4. And if you remember, Eric last week played against, I believe, Grandmaster Vera from the United States, and he crushed him using Kasparov's idea. Exactly the same variation, g6. By the way, this is Romanishen's line with black pieces. I like it so much. Idea is this double fianchetto, and afterwards to play some sort of flexible position and waiting for the white's reaction. Bartel played d5, just like Eric's opponent last week. He played rook e8 and played knight a6. Once again, I'd like to point out Eric's result, where he played first board for the chessbrah theme. Playing first board, he made 6 out of 6. Congratulations, master. He's doing fantastic lately. Okay, this is nice position, normal game. I just have to say that I played 2 tournament games like this with black. I quit on this line, I guess. At some point, I realized that there was one line that white can go for, but a little bit more about that variation and how should white play against this Romanishen setup a bit later. Okay, so these are current positions. Let's keep following Eric's game. So rook to e1, nothing special. He just wants to play h. Okay, knight c5, probably he's going to put this bishop back to c2. And if he puts the bishop back to c2 in order to keep the bishop here, he will at some point, not immediately, threaten b4. Why not immediately? Because after b4, Eric can capture on e4, opening this bishop and eyeing this rook. But you know what? Anyways, in this position, one of the main ideas by black should be a5. We'll see Eric's reaction. I'm very interested in his next move because I played these positions myself with black, and that would be very interesting to see his reaction. d6. Okay, Eric is obviously tempting his opponent to go with some b4 and make mistake. Yeah, that's kind of normal. If I was white, I would play rook to b1. Rook to b1 in order to kick this knight away with b4 afterwards. But if I was black, after rook b1, I would play a5. So any b4 I could face with a takes b4, a takes b4, and to have an a file open with a pretty good game for black. Eventually, even if white plays b4, if he manages to do that, this knight should go back to d7, control e5, and ideally black wants to play knight g4 at some point, controlling the dark squares and e5 square. But none of these things work because he played bishop g5. I don't like this bishop g5 exactly because of h6. Probably he wants to provoke Eric to play g5, but I don't think this is even an interesting provoke because g5, bishop g3, knight h5, he should capture that bishop on g3, put the, you know what, g5, bishop g3, knight h5, capture the bishop on g3, played knight d7, open this bishop and control, get a great outgrip on e5, plus a fantastic control of the dragon bishop on g7. Let's see what's gonna happen there. On the other hand, if you move your knight from c5, they can play some knight d4, bishop a4, controlling c6 and the light squares there. So that's the drawback of this position. Let's take a look what is Eric going to do. In the meantime, Raven stirred. We already checked this opening. g4, queen e8, bishop e2, knight e7, rook g1 to stop f5, king h8 to prevent f5, and after g takes, this one, knight c5, queen d2, bishop f5, bishop h6, threatened mate in 1, played long castle. I already think this is very, very dangerous. So, I mean dangerous for white, because all these pieces, I experienced this with white a couple of times, and I can tell you that all these pieces make so many dangerous mating threats with the knight on b3. Queen e3, knight a2. Can he play this move? I mean, we all see that after knight a2, he wants to come up with checkmate, but this checkmate doesn't work because of queen, which is a good defender here. a4, rook e1, c6. Somebody came up with the following statement like, maybe Wok blundered this. Maybe Wok blundered this piece. I don't think he blundered. I actually believe he made some sacrifice there. But I'm not exactly sure if it's going to work out that easily for black. Okay, he now wants to take and to force white to take, and in that case to join with another piece into attack. But I actually like this one so much for black. Sturt shouldn't take on d5 because c5 is so dangerous. If I was in his place, I would probably double my rooks or play knight d4, exactly. But maybe he could have waited for this because knight d4 by black didn't work because of knight takes d4. So Raven Sturt, he's a young player from the United States. This is his debut for chessbrah team, and we should all wish him the best of luck in this competition. By the way, Dr. Elias tonight here with us analyzing these games. He's a substitute that is always very, very strong. He made so many nice games, so many nice wins. Elias, I still remember that game against Aryan Thari. Congratulations on that one. And especially on the night, the rook d1 was exchange sack and then knight h4. Beautiful one. I actually taught one of my students thanks to your game. So congratulations on that one. So bishop e4. Bishop e4. He just controls the light squares. He just controls the center, controls the diagonal. Pretty difficult position for Raven Sturt. I don't see what is he going to do with this knight. If I was white, I would immediately. But you know what? He should probably sack this piece and consolidate his pieces. Probably rook g1. Probably rook g1 because e takes d4 doesn't work. Queen takes d4 and if queen f6, boom, rook g8. Let's come up with some cheapos. Okay, so this could be nice. Rook e g1, e takes d4, queen takes d4, queen f6, and da-da-da-da, rook g8, babe. And rook takes g8, queen takes f6 with checkmate. I guess I should play this Pro League. Okay, knight b5. Boring. Because he can play now d4 and he can't take because eventually he's gonna have this queen f6. Yeah, so he actually can take on d4. Queen e5, rook e5, knight b3 wins for black. Oh, I like that one so much. Congratulations on the variation that somebody came up with. So knight b5. Okay. We're going to keep following this game. Let's take a look at Hansen's game. Yeah, I told you that he should either take the dark square bishop or play a5. I exactly gave you this variation. Eric now sacrificed pawn for getting the pawn on e4. He also stopped b4. No b4 works now because black should just capture and create weakness on a3. Nice game. On the other hand, he just wants to take control of the light squares, which also makes sense. And Eric cannot play knight h5 now. If I was in his place, comes up with some tactics. I like this one. I kept looking at something else, didn't see the knight e5. Congratulations, Hansen is in big shape. That guy is beast lately. His current strength is probably 2900. Wow, knight d5, taking on e1 and bishop d4. What a nice tactics. I like this one so much. Okay. Well, what can I say? He had a good coach. Nothing else. Knight takes d5. I like this one a lot. Okay, Eric is much better. Brian Smith against Le Siege. After queen takes d5, bishop e3 captured, and this is where we stopped. I was joking that position was boring. After queen f3, king g7. Once again, Le Siege out of the opening had a great position. I really like his openings. I really like his opening preps. That really, and just like I told you, from round to round, he's getting better and better. So after h5, g takes, knight h5, I already prefer his position a lot more, and I believe that Le Siege is much better in this position. She just grabbed the pawn. He's going to take knight takes d4. Yeah, okay, I like this one. And also, you know what? He can now play queen e7, queen g5, involving this rook into attack, and maybe knight f4. Le Siege is better as well. Okay. This is game between Aman Hambleton and Sergei Ehrenberg. This is where we stopped. Aman played bishop e2, knight e4, and opted for this plan, where he grabs the bishop pair, and now he had to complete his development, giving up the bishop pair. I already have to say that, I mean, he doesn't have any opening advantage as soon as he had to play bishop e2. So, in my opinion, Ehrenberg, who was considered a very strong theoretical player in the past, he just, in my opinion, equalized very easily with black pieces. But I don't like this move. I don't like this move, bishop takes f3. Usually queen and knight. A according to Capablanca's opinion, cooperate better than queen and the bishop. But here we actually all know that the bishop is way better than knight when the pawns are on both sides of the board and when the game is open. And all these conditions are just fulfilled here. So I'm not exactly sure if Ehrenberg made a best decision when he took an f3. I don't like this move. I don't like this move. Okay, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But you know me actually. That's my attitude. I like to give this kind of statements. On the other hand, somehow a man should force this guy. A man should force this guy to put this pawn on b6 and b5. Yeah, this looks nice. Queen c6. But on queen c6, you see what is a man doing? A man is forcing an endgame in a position where the game should be open and where the pawns are on both sides. Definitely, white is slightly better. And definitely, in my opinion, Ehrenberg made a mistake when he decided to take an f3. Okay, let's carry on. Eric Hansen. Eric Hansen sacked the piece on d5, I mean just temporarily to win a pawn. Bishop takes d5. Now he's going to take on e1 and to take on d4. There is one drawback of this combination. A beat weak position of the king. But okay, that's the price he has to pay for winning a pawn. Probably Eric wants to consolidate himself with queen f6. Maybe king f8 and rook e8. If he consolidates in this position, if he manages to play rook e8 to get an open e file, that's gonna be the end of the game. So probably queen f6 here. Yeah, good. Eric, you're a good player, man. And by the way, don't forget, Eric Hansen so far only lost one game playing for chessbrah theme. He lost to current world champion and probably the best player in the history of chess so far, Magnus Carlsen. So we're going to forgive him such a bad result. Queen f6. It's not only that he wants to. At some point he's going to threaten to take on b2. So that is going to be another idea in that position. King goes to f8 and rook goes to e8. Okay, that's planned here. On the other hand, b2 pawn is weak. Eric is already up a pawn. He can also, well, he's got like a wide range of possibilities. Even bishop e5 at some point if he wants. Definitely this is better. Much better game for Eric, if not technically winning. Yeah, I was trying to say that this Brian Smith should come up with some tactics, otherwise his position is just bad. Le Siege just defends himself there properly so far. I just went a little bit faster. You know what? We stopped at this moment. Knight f5. If g takes pawn, he would take on h5. So. Or maybe even first take knight f5 and after that grabbing the knight on h5. So after bishop f5, knight f5, king f8. Okay, c takes d4, knight f6. More or less normal. Maybe queen f4 here. Maybe queen f4 here. I'm a little bit afraid. What's going to happen if he plays queen f4 in this situation? Because as far as I see, after queen f4, maybe idea could be queen h6. And if g takes f5, he's got a possibility to play queen h6, king e7, a rook e1. So this could be interesting plan for white. Once again, Eric Hansen in this position. Oh, it went like this. Queen f6, h4, Eric captured, played queen g5. Now when he trades up these bishops and puts the rook on e8, this exactly. Oh, this guy really plays good. So yeah, this is good. And obviously Eric, oh, this one is bad, must be bad. Rook e1 check, rook e1 check, Eric. What are you waiting for? Rook e1, let's go for that, exactly. Knight d3, let's torture this guy. Knight d3, threatening on f2, threatening on b2, threatening. I mean, this is completely lost. Okay, Hansen is winning. Let's just see what is he going to do here. But as far as I see, knight d3 and white is completely lost. Okay. Okay. We're still waiting for his move. He's not only better in terms of his position, but also he's up on time. He's got like 3.5 minutes more, so he's got all time of this world to come up with something properly. Okay, Brian Smith against Le Siege after knight f6 played knight to e3, queen d6, knight g4. Looks like this position is getting more and more solid for black, because eventually if they trade all these pieces, white is going to be the one who's gonna suffer because of the weak isolated pawn on d4. So this is just great. I like Le Siege game. Man Hambleton, I told you that the bishop f3 was such a bad move by Edinburgh. Don't ever play moves like this, giving up bishops for the knights in, and actually playing with knights against bishops when the pawns are on both sides and position is open. After queen d7, queen c6, man exchange, nice, good boy. King goes to d3, plays f4, king is getting closer, and Aman's position is getting better and better. By the way, always try to limit bishop with knight like this, because this is the maximum limit of the knight by one bishop. So you either play like this. Okay, Ravensturt. Wow, what an interesting game with a lot of excitement. He played rook g5, knight d4, knight b5, d4, queen g3, rook here. If queen takes after rook g8 and grabbing the queen, f3, bishop c6, and I just have to say I like the way he consolidated himself. Rook g7, and he seems to be completely winning. Wow, he seems to be winning. If nothing else, for sure he's gonna have a draw against these really strong guy Andrei Wolf. Ravensturt is doing great. Just like I said, this is his debut. Let's keep our fingers crossed for him, and let's just hope that a rookie in a chessbrah theme is going to make a really good result in his first appearance. So chessbrah team tonight in the first round is doing, what the hell? What the hell? Bishop c4. Look at the move. If queen takes c4, king b1, no more checks, and nobody can stop now. Rook takes h7. What the hell? Wow. This guy is really good. This guy is really good. Oh my god. What a beautiful move. Wait a sec. What if rook g8? What if rook g8? I guess queen g5. Threatening rook h7, queen h5, or maybe threatening rook g8 and queen f6. Yeah, rook g8, queen g5. Ravens, queen g5 now. Let's go. Queen g5, and he should be winning here, because he still threatens on if queen g5. He still threatens mate if he takes. Then he threatens rook g8 and queen f6, and now he threatens rook h7 and queen h5. Ravensturt just made one of the most beautiful sacrifices I've seen in the Pro League. Wow. Wow. Will Andrei Wolf from Ukraine is going to be so badly beaten? Knight d5. Okay. threatens to play knight e7, threatens to play knight f6. This is insane. I'd like to check this game afterwards on computer. I like this one so much and looks so interesting. Knight d5 threatens knight e7, threatens knight f6. We just have to follow this game because it's full of excitement, full of nice sacrifices, full of tactics. So this is great for all of you who... And he's threatening rook h7, king h7, queen h5, queen h6, knight f6. He was also threatening that one. h6. Knight f6 now. Knight f6. Knight f6. Good job, man. Good job. Threatens rook h7. Wow. Wow, what a beautiful game. Oh my goodness. That was so insane. Awesome win by Ravensthird against their best player. What a beautiful game. What a beautiful win there. I'm absolutely amazed with the first game by this guy. His first appearance in such a beautiful way. This guy is crazy. That's good. Eric Hansen won, so we stopped at this moment. Captured on h4. Put his rook on the e file, and Eric was listening to my advice, so he played knight d3, took on b2, eventually defended both of these pawns and just won this game. Oh, I like the way he won this game. Very nice game by Eric. Very nice game, and as usual, Eric is simply fantastic and so precise when it comes to calculation. Okay, Le Siège. Active king against and better knight because the pawns are broken. He's got a control of the files. This is great. Le Siège is completely winning. Takes. He's usually a little bit suspicious when it comes to severe time troubles. So he just keeps blundering in much better positions. But okay. Just like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, he's getting better and better every week because he's never used chess.com software. Okay, and apparently okay, b3, and apparently I was about to say he didn't play so much blitz. Okay, he's winning here. Nice. His knight controls the d8 promotion square. Wow, Ravensthird made absolutely out. Threatens rook c6 here. Threatens rook c6 here. And if rook b6 now, rook c6, knight d4. Knight d4. Let's go. Le Siège. Killer from Montreal. Alexander Le Siège, knight d4. He just won his game. Wow, chessbrah is doing great tonight. Aman Hambleton drew against Sergei Ehrenberg. How come he drew that one? This is famous example from game Karpov-Kasparov, and somebody tried to prove that bishop should be better than knight in these positions. It's a tiny type of advantage, but still white should be able to push this and play for a win. But okay, Ehrenberg made nice defense. He actually put all his pawns on the opposite color of the light square bishop, which makes sense. So when you play endgames, put the pawns on the opposite color of the bishop. And finally, so Eric Hansen won, Le Siège won, Ravensthird won, and eventually Aman Hambleton drew. 3.5 to have after first round. Montreal chessbrah is doing awesome after only 4 games. Amazing. I'm so happy to see that. And guys, Ravensthird, what a debut, what a game. I'm amazed. Congratulations again. You'll have a chance to see a Mans Hambleton recap of these games during the week or in like 2 days. This game really deserves like so many exclamation marks late in its end game. It was beautiful. Okay, let me just do something before we carry on with the stream. And by the way, while we're waiting for games of our members, as usual, you know, what do we do in these breaks? You usually know what do we do in these breaks. So let me just do what I prepared for you. I actually prepared some hits, so let's just go. We're just waiting for the games to start. Once again, Montreal chessbrah 3.5 to half after the first round. Okay. Wow, Jensen is 28-27. Sorry guys. Sorry, it was Caruana's rating, but you know, maybe I'm announcing something. This is really nice. And Raven's third. I'm not exactly sure about his rating, so I'll just have to make sure. I believe it's 23.89. I apologize for this. Okay. So let's go. While we're waiting for the second round to begin. No, we still don't have those games uploaded. That's good. After first round, Montreal chessbrahs are in leads 3.5 to half. Amazing game by Raven's third against their best board, Andrei Wolf. I honestly believe that Wolf was actually had like more prosperous chances at some point. I'm not exactly sure about the assessment of position. Now we can all pretend smart if we take the engines and say White was winning all the time because he sacrificed piece, and that was kind of unsound, but during the game it looked pretty dangerous for White. Okay, we just have to stop here because second round has just started. So let's go. First game that we're going to check will be between Hambleton and Andrei Wolf. Aman opted for his favorite French opening, knight e2, Tarrasch line by White, c5, and after knight g on f3, he captured on d4. I don't like this move so much. Actually, no, sorry, c takes d4 makes sense. I was about to say knight d5 is not the only move here. That's only one of the options. It's considered to be more solid option for white than e takes d5, which is definitely more popular, but involves more risk by white. Knight d4 just gives white some opening advantage. After e takes, queen takes, knight b5, knight a6, knight c3, queen d8, and a3. I remember when Caruana played like this, and now I remember some game between Caruana and Carlsen, queen f3, bishop takes a6, where this guy resigned in out of the opening. Anyways, after a3, bishop d7, white is considered to be slightly better in such positions because of the pawn storm, pawn majority on the queen side, 3 against 2 on the queen side. Also, he's a bit ahead in development, so it's a bit better position for white. Just like I said, I remember some game, I'm not sure who was white and who was black between Caruana and Carlsen there. Quite popular opening, quite interesting variation. So let's take a look at Eric Hansen against Brian Smith. Hansen opted for knight d6, bishop b5, his favorite opening, and after bishop d7, he shocked me with this move, bishop c4. I've never seen bishop c4, to be honest, in these positions. I was expecting Eric would take on d7 because he won almost all his games there. But let me see. After bishop c4, knight f6, now he can play, okay, d3. He could have gone for e5 and maybe queen e2. He played d3. So probably Eric wants to play something that is not going to look and to be so theoretical. So he went for d3. Okay, knight c6, probably h3 to limit the light square bishop and to stop the bishop g4 by black. That would be one guess. Oh no, knight a5 is threat, maybe a3. Knight a5 is threat, he just wants to win the bishop pair. If they manage to win the light square bishop, yeah, exactly, a3. So he just wants to keep the light square bishop. Makes sense, making shelter for this bishop and being able to put that bishop back, actually to make this step back on a2. Okay, more or less normal. a3, e6 also makes sense because it kind of limiting the bishop on c4, and this move makes sense. Castles, bishop e7, probably c3, knight bd2. That should be Eric's plan. Also, he can play and develop his knight to c3 as well. Yeah, that could be another idea. So I don't know why did he opt for this plan, but looks interesting. Maybe I thought about rook b1 followed by b4. I thought about that plan. I actually like white's game. White absolutely seems to be fine here. Bishop goes back to a2, avoiding b5 with tempi. Makes sense. And now knight e2. Oh, I like the way he's maneuvering here. He wants to do this. I usually call that traditional journey by knight. Typical for Rai Lopez, where the knight eventually comes to g3 and to launch the attack on the king side. Eric plays really nice when it comes to positional chess. He's improved so much in this part of the chess that I have to say that I enjoy his games very much, and I always like to see how he maneuvers and puts his pieces in the best places. Raven Sturt, the hero of the first round, he plays playing black against Ehrenberg. He's now Ehrenberg opted for Rai Lopez as well. Okay, and this most popular move lately with d3, d6, c3. Another variation here could be a3 here, or c3 is another line. You know, basically when they play d6, they defend this pawn and they just want to play b5 and knight a5. And there is an old rule: if you give up the light square bishop in Ruy Lopez, pack your stuff, go home, and instead of playing chess, probably try to play some cricket, bowling, or take your girlfriend somewhere on the pancakes, but don't play chess. c3, b5, bishop c2, castles, knight bd2, rook e8, h3, more or less all these typical moves. d4, e takes, c takes, okay, no problem. So g6, rook e1, I like it, bishop g7, a4. a4, you know, more or less typical way of breaking the pawn structure on the queen side. So yeah, bishop b7, a takes, rook a8, and yeah. If you wonder what are you supposed to do if you don't have girlfriend, I'm not gonna tell you what are you supposed to do. Actually, that's a secret for now. By the way, keep in mind, at the moment we're just commentating the 7th round of the Pro Chess League. My name is International Master Miodrag Perunovic from Serbia. I'm going to be your host for the next couple of weeks as well, unfortunately for you. And by the way, one more thing, keep in mind, after we finish all these broadcasts and streams, after we finish all these games, we're going to start and to stream and play more, so you'll be able to enjoy in our blitz skills. Okay, this is slightly better game for Ehrenberg. Ravensturt has a pretty nice game there, so I don't see anything wrong with his game. And finally, Le Siège repeated the same opening like the last week. So d4, d5, c4, c6. He opted for this popular Aronian's line in Slavic Exchange with c takes d4, early bishop f4 and d3, and playing in a very aggressive way. Queen b3, knight a5, queen a4, bishop d7, queen c2. I remember even Sokolov, Anish Giri, and the others played a couple of games with white pieces there and made some really nice wins. I remember also Kramnik in Olympiad beat somebody up. Was it Aronian or somebody else with white pieces? Or maybe Naidich, I'm not sure. But this is very promising position. h3, bishop d3, castles, and queen e2. And just once again, I have to say that I'm amazed with the quality of opening preps by Alexander Le Siège. So he plays queen e2, knight b1, nice maneuver, and pretty typical for these games and these positions. He's really doing great when it comes to openings. This guy really knows his stuff well. Okay, so knight c4. Knight c4, more or less nice, because in a way he wants to stop knight bd2, because in that case the pawn on b2 is hanging. So knight e5, he just wants to get rid of knight on c4, and that looks fine. Okay, so knight e5. Yeah, knight e5 makes sense. Maybe bishop b5 doesn't work because of b3. But in b3, knight e5, bishop b5. Yeah, this is better for white. Okay, I like, once again, Le Siège position. Once again, his opening went really good for him, and pretty prosperous position for white. Let's get back to Eric Hansen against Brian Smith. Hansen, master of maneuvering. d5, e5, knight g4, knight f4, queen c7, queen e2, controlling and just defending this pawn on e5. Rook a to e8, h3, kicking the knight away, c3, going with a d4 and defending the center. Okay. So knight h5. He threatens g4 here. I like Eric's position. He actually managed to put all his pieces on the king side, and you know what? He maybe just wants to play d4, play this bishop b1, and play g4, launching the attack on the king side. I like this one a lot. I like this one a lot, and this really looks dangerous for black. Okay, Eric has better chances on the king side here. We'll follow his game for a moment. I just you know, made some ideas. He cannot play d4 because d4 pawn is hanging, but I just say in case he can go with some g4, kicking this knight away from f5, going with d4, opening diagonal for the light square bishop with bishop b1, and so this really looks nice. Okay, we'll take a look at this queen d8. Aha, if g4, he just wants to play knight h4. So if g4, he just wants to play knight h4. Okay, I like, I mean, queen d8 makes sense. Queen d8 makes sense. Looks normal and looks pretty good for black. I mean, normal and good, I mean, in terms of defending. I still prefer a little bit more Eric's game, because somehow he's just, he just puts all his pieces on the king side and into attack. Probably bishop f4 or maybe g4, but I would, if I was white, I would play bishop f4. I'm not afraid of any g6. He can always play knight f6 to sack a pawn for the strong control of the dark squares. So that could be one idea. Queen d8. While we're waiting for Hansen's move, let's take a look at the game between Aman Hambleton and Yuri Vovk. At first glance, I prefer white's position. At first glance, I prefer white's position. I told you that these positions are easier for playing. Our team member, first board, and the leader of chessbrah team, Fabiano Caruana, played this line, in my opinion, for the first time. Don't take it just like that. But I think Caruana was the one who played this for the first time. And you know, here, Aman probably shouldn't allow him to trade off queens like this, because you know what? Trading off queens with the pawn majority is always better for the side who's got a pawn majority. And what I don't like here, Aman gave up on the bishop pair. Aman gave up on the bishop pair and objective. But you know what? Don't forget, we have a real master of the game when it comes to knights. So maybe Aman is going to surprise us once again with his outstanding show when it comes to dancing with the knight. So this could be interesting. But objectively speaking, white is slightly and looks like long-term better. Why? Because of the bishop pair. If you ask me about the result after the first round, it's 3.5 to have for Montreal chessbrah. By the way, once again, this is the 7th round of the Pro Chess League, Montreal chessbrah, with Buenos Aires Krakens tying first place after 6 rounds. We just have to win tonight in order to compete, probably with less strong team, because knockout rounds are coming. Aman is trying to exchange one of the knights, but I guess it's not going to change too much here. White should take on d5, play f4, bishop d3, or bishop g2. White is a bit better. Somebody said there is no pawn majority. Of course there is a pawn majority on queen side, 3 against 2. Watch my weeds on YouTube channel and learn something about that man. Okay, bishop d2, knight d5. Yeah, knight takes d5. Knight takes d5, rook takes d5, probably f4 followed by bishop g2. And yeah, this looks nice. This looks a little bit better for this guy. Okay. Knight e4. I guess he wants to play c4, and the man plays bishop d4. Pretty concrete. He just wants to play knight e3 or to play bishop e3. What is he trying to do? I guess he wants to trade one of the bishops. If he does that, he's gonna be really, really good. Rook e1 makes sense. But what if? No. I was about to say something very stupid, so I'm not going to even mention that. I still think this is a bit better position for white because of the pawn majority and the bishop here. Edinburgh against Ravensturt. So Ravensturt black, we stopped at this moment. Queen b3, rook e7, d5, knight f3, queen takes b4. Okay, knight d7. He was going after b2 pawn somehow at some point. Queen b7, bishop e3, bishop c3, rook b1 and f5. Ravensturt is looking for some complications. Interesting. Honestly speaking, once again, I believe that white is a bit better here. If not winning after this move. But we're going to see what's gonna happen there. Yeah, I believe he just blundered piece very bad. But even if he didn't blunder that piece, his position would be very, very difficult. Once again, that f5 move I didn't like. I believe it was cause of the problems. I mean, okay, position could be named as defendable for black, but white is a bit better development of his pieces, maybe space, but f5 was definitely white is a better. And by the way, he was up a pawn there, so before b5, and he now just tries to come up with something. But okay, objectively speaking, this is lost. Aman Hambleton, we took a look at this position, slightly worse. Alexander Lesiège against Bartel. Lesiège is slowly but surely squeezing out his opponent, playing knight d2 to go with the typical knight b3 and controlling these two squares with the knight. a5, f4, installing this bishop on e5, maintaining it there, and not just that, he's also doing an attack on the king side. F takes, rook f3. What is he trying to do? Probably to just solidify his position, double up these rooks, and being able to play some rook g3, maybe going with the attack afterwards. Okay, bishop e8. It doesn't threaten anything because on any bishop h5, g4 is an option. Exactly. So rook a to f1. Nice position for Lesiège here. G4 here. G4 in this position. Maybe that was idea of Tom Bartel, aka Spinal Tap. Maybe that was his idea to weaken white's pawn structure because he's now compelled to push that pawn to g4. And I don't know what is he going to do now, because if bishop g6, he's seriously weakening the pawn structure on the king side, bishop takes g6 and queen d3, let's just say, for example. So white seems to be fine there. Thank you guys for subscribing. Kirkwood Chess for resubbing for 17 months. Thank you so much for that. Looks like you do like what we're doing here. Okay, Le Siege against Tom Bartel. I would take on g6 and maybe play queen to d3. This looks nice. This looks a bit better for white. Maybe he can even go with some... I don't know why is he thinking so much here. Definitely it would give white slight and a long-term advantage there, mainly thanks to pawn structure. Okay, Ehrenberg against Raven Sturt. Okay, Sturt is completely lost because he's down a piece. I don't even want to replay those moves because we now just have to keep up with the other games. Rook e1, h6, c3, and Aman improved his position to maximum because he somehow put white in a difficult situation, because if white manages to open up this game, that would be good for white. But how is he going to do that? That's very difficult because Aman put all his minor pieces on almost ideal places. So this looks good. Okay, and finally Eric Hansen against Brian Smith. We stopped at knight h5, queen d8. I also spoke about bishop f4. Eric played that, captured, and played bishop h2. After king h8, rook a to d1. Eric is known as a player who's got a great ability of maneuvering and making these useful moves that at first glance don't do anything, but basically with all these moves he just keeps improving his position a lot. Okay, apparently he's much better here. He controls e5. I'm not sure that Eric wants to give his opponent any chance of grabbing that bishop by g-pawn in case of knight f6, g takes f6, and rook g8, possibly with the attack by black. But it would be interesting to see what will happen in that position. But I really enjoy in Eric's maneuvering, in his ability to play these very calm but very strong positional moves, once again, that at first glance don't do anything, but they actually keep improving his position so much. It's so nice. I like it. Okay, so Hansen is better. Aman Hambleton once again down on time, 4.5 minutes. Still, we just have to say that he's a bit worse because of the pawn majority for white and the queen side 3 against 2, and because of the bishop pair for white. But white also has like a lot of practical problems since he cannot cope with this position the best. Idea by rook e2 is, in case of f5, to be able to put the knight back to f2. So let me just tell you this one. So slightly better position for Wofk. Raven Sturt, f takes g6, h takes g6. He's down a piece and unfortunately he's lost. And Le Siege, I simply can't believe that nothing changed there. Probably there are some updates of these games. I'm just gonna give this one to you right now. So let me take a look. Yeah, there were some updates. So he took on g6, queen d3 threatens on g6. Yeah, I spoke about that. Oh, nice one. threatens g5 followed by rook to h4, knight d7, knight f3. Okay, rook takes f4, bishop f4, threatens knight e5. Sorry, not this one, that was wrong. Maybe g5 and knight h4 also could be threat going against the pawn on g6. That could be interesting. That could be interesting here. Okay, okay. Safe type of positional advantage for Le Siège here. Still better. Le Siège still better. So a bit better position for him there. Amman Hambleton. Oh, this is Amman's position. Wow, are you kidding me? Amman is up a piece. Amman is up a piece. What happened there? What happened there? Amman Hambleton managed to save that position. So knight e5, bishop g2, knight d3, f5. Ah, he blundered. This guy blundered. Check. And then after f5, this knight was in the middle of nowhere. So Amman won a piece, and this is nice because he's now winning. Wow, wow. This guy is completely crazy when it comes to knight play. Absolutely the best player I've seen so far when it comes to knight's play. Wow. Rook e8, rook e8, rook e8. Now white just tries to simplify this game and to save it. I mean, he's got a pretty good chances because he's got 6 pawns against 4 and he's got a bishop pair. He's got some chances, but okay, objectively speaking, a man should be much better here. Wow, wow, what a comeback by this guy. Because I really think that in that position he was a bit worse. Eric Hansen against Brian Smith. One of the games of the round, Hansen kept on improving on this position. a5, he grabbed on f6. Maybe g takes f6 followed by rook g8 was more of chance for this guy. Queen takes f6, knight e5, and now Eric won bishop pair. Guys, please don't forget about one thing. Whenever you see Hansen playing with a bishop pair, he's complete beast. Complete beast. Queen g4, queen f7, rook e2. By the way, why queen g4? He's forcing an endgame with a bishop pair. Queen f7 threatens at some point somehow attack on f2, protecting and defending pawn on f2, and playing queen g5. Doubling these rooks on the file and threatening d4 to open up the game, especially using the fact that king is on h7. I like this one a lot. So after rook c8, Eric played d4, captured, and I have to express my big satisfaction with his position. He's really insane when it comes to positional chess. Eric lately improved a lot. He really plays fantastic chess lately. Somebody said maybe he made 4 out of 4 2 rounds ago in Pro League because he was playing low-rated opponents. But even when he plays against some really high-rated opponents, don't forget he only lost 1 game so far in this whole competition, and that was Magnus. Actually, that was Magnus Carlsen, and second game that he lost to Dominguez. Sorry, I forgot that one. And don't forget, Carlsen is world champion and Dominguez is 27-50 last 15 years. I mean, it's really not that surprising. He beat Hammer in that crucial game against Norway Gnomes. He also beat some good names there. So Hansen lately plays in a great shape. Don't forget, these guys just came back from New York, where Eric Hansen made 6 out of 6 playing on the first board for the chessbrah team. Okay, so Brian Smith, he's running out of time. This is Eric's situation. Ah, you trickster. Wait a sec. Bishop takes g7 wins. And rook takes g7, queen takes g7, rook e8 also wins. So rook g7 or rook e8, it wins. Eric played another great game, so either bishop g7 or maybe rook takes g7, queen g7, rook takes e8. Fantastic play by Eric. I really enjoy his games. Wow. Wow. That is nice. By the way, don't forget this is second round after first round. Montreal chessbrahs are leading. Yeah, exactly the line I suggested. Montreal chessbrahs leading with 3.5 to half. He should take on d8 and play queen d8. That's one possibility, and to take on a5, getting everything. But he can also play rook to e3, followed by rook to g3. That is also interesting in the situation. Eric, as usual, simply awesome when it comes to maneuvering. I wouldn't play rook e3. Rook e3 gives a lot of attacking potential there, so I would play rook e3. Even now, rook to e3 works. But Eric is usually not that tactical, and he now... Okay, he should trade off these queens, win the pawn on d5, and being up 2 pawns, this should be a piece of cake for him. I'll stop analyzing this game because apparently he's winning. Let me just show you a few more moves. Rook d6. Before and now, threatens rook f6, rook takes f5. Well, I don't quite like this situation. I mean, he has rook g7 and rook a7, but I don't like this one. How is he going to stop this pawn after a2, for example? Ah, he pushes the h pawn. I believe that he didn't play that convincingly here. Oh my god, he's going to promote now and play endgame. And playing endgame, being up 3 pawns, and just because he's got like 2 connected pawns, he should be completely winning here. Oh, what a great realization by Hansen. Wow, that was... I mean, was he lucky at some point there? Because most of the game he was completely winning, or his opponent couldn't even stop this. Congratulations, Hansen. Congratulations. Fantastic game. Let's go. Wovk beat Hamilton. Wovk beat Hamilton. Hamilton lost being up a piece there. Are you kidding me? How? And Hamilton had 2 knights and he lost a game. I can't believe my eyes what I'm seeing right now. Ah. Unfortunately, a man lost that one, and eventually Le Siege made the draw in position where he, in my opinion, clearly was better most of the time. He captured, played queen d3, and made the draw. Okay, time for break. this wasn't the best round for the Montreal chessbrah team. So chessbrahs lost the second round with 2.5 to 1.5. Puh, oh my god. So I keep talking about the man and his knights, and I guess it went wrong for him this time. Okay, doesn't matter, let me just change the results. Hansen playing crazy good. Le Siege 1.5 out of 2 games. Hambleton half points out of 2 games. And Ravensturt 1 point out of 2 games on 50% so far. Okay, we'll go back to these games. So just give me 2 minutes also to take something just to drink. Okay, so I'm back. This is officially 7th round of Pro League. Unfortunately, in the second round, Montreal chessbrahs lost 2.5 to 1.5. Hambleton lost. Ravensturt after outstanding first game lost. Eric Hansen won and Le Siege in better position drew. So after 2 rounds, chessbrahs are leading 5 to 3. It's still good, but after they lost this round, this could be very, very difficult end of the match, because you usually know that 4th round are always the most interesting rounds, because strongest players are facing strongest guys and weakest players are facing weakest. So anything can happen. Even one thing can win or lose 4-0. Don't forget, against Buenos Aires Krakens, that's how we lost only match in this competition. We lost very badly. I believe that 4th round, 3.5 to half, something like that. And afterwards, it turned out that it's the only loss by chessbrah in this whole competition. Okay, we're still waiting for the games to begin. But Eric Hansen in that game against Brian Smith, I really enjoyed that game a lot. That was really, really beautiful. Okay. So Eric Hansen against Ehrenberg. The game's already started. Oh, Hansen played knight f3 and Ehrenberg went for Petrov defense. One of the most difficult positions to crack. Okay. Now we just have to stop the music and to go with this stream. So after knight f3, knight e4, knight c3, certainly the most popular line against Petrov defense last couple of years. Turns out that white is a bit better in all these variations. Interesting move by Morozevich here was queen on d4. So bishop e3, knight e6, queen d2, bishop e6, h3, queen d7, and white usually looks a bit better in these positions. Idea could be knight g5 at some point, but okay, objectively speaking, these positions are defendable by black. On the other hand, keep in mind Ehrenberg is very, Eric went for that. Ehrenberg is very good defender, and he likes these tough positions, and he's good at defending himself. Okay, so that was the game between Hansen and Ehrenberg. Let's take a look at other games. So Alexander Lesiège against Andrei Wovk. Simply Lesiège has to hold Wovk in this game. Wovk went for the Dutch opening, g6, knight f3, castles, b3. This popular line that is aimed against e5 by black. After d6, bishop e2, c6, c4, a5. There we go. One of the main lines in the Dutch opening. Idea is knight a6 followed by knight b4. At the same time, this a5 stops b4 by black. Knight c3. He wants to fight for the center. Okay. Nothing unusual. We just have to move to the game between Brian Smith and Ravenstert. Okay, so Brian Smith playing white here went for this Italian that after d3 goes into Ruy Lopez type of games. Bishop e7, rook e1, a4, keeping the light square bishop, and after bishop g4, h3. You know what? These bishop h5 moves are usually very dangerous by black, because maybe white can go with some knight bd2, g4, knight f1, knight g3, knight f5, eventually taking by g takes f5 and going with the attack along the g file. But okay, we'll talk about these positions a bit more after we open all these games. And finally, the last game that we just have to take a look at is between Tom Bartal and Aman Hambleton. Hambleton lost in previous game. Probably it's my fault because I kept bragging him and kept talking how good is he when it comes to his knights, but unfortunately even two knights weren't enough for him to win against one bishop in that endgame. Okay, it wasn't that clear, and eventually he lost. So bishop e7, bishop g2, bishop e4, c5. I remember Carlsen liked to play the system with black pieces with great results. Okay, so after castle, okay, Tommy fucking Shelby, thank you for a subscription, man. So castles, yeah, this all looks more or less typical. So let me just move to the game between Eric Hansen and Sergei Ehrenberg. Okay, so Eric Hansen, he just went for that knight g5, winning bishop pair, and after knight e5, b3, a long castle, and like you see, he opted for a position where he's got bishop pair, slightly worse pawn structure because of double pawns on c4 and c2. But okay, just like I said, Herrenberg is known as a player who defends himself perfectly. I believe he's a Karakan player. Karpov was a Karakan player, and he seems to be good at these positions. Yeah. Okay, so that's game between Hansen and Ehrenberg. Threatens Queen A7. Threatens Queen A7. And maybe some F4 with Bishop E2, Bishop F3. He needs somehow to solidify his pieces and complete his development there. Somebody asked me if Queen A7 is good enough. It's an attempt to come up with some sort of attack. Probably F4 here, but then E4 is weak. Maybe Bishop E2. Maybe King B2. That would be typical Eric's type of move. Nobody would ever think about King B2, but Eric would always go with something crazy like this, King B2, which looks nice. Then F4 could be idea, and maybe Rook G1. Those are possibilities for white. Not Queen A7 in this position. Definitely not this one. I'm very interested. What is Eric going to do? Lately, every time I watch his games, I actually watch his games where he plays with the bishop pair. So it would be very interesting to see. Yeah, Rook G1, I mentioned that one. Yeah, I mentioned this one. He just wants to play F4 followed by G4. And by the way, cheers guys. Wish you the best of luck, and let's cheer up together the chessbrah theme. Come up with some donations, guys. Come up. We just need to get another top board, and well, who could it be after, Fabiano Caruana, who's the second player in the world? Either Wesley Sorr or Magnus Carlsen, nobody else, I guess. Okay, so Rook G1 threatens F4 and G4. This looks nice for white. Rook H to E8. I don't see anything special about this move, so I'd still go. You know what? Maybe F3 to control E4. Maybe F3 to control E4. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe F4. Well, I'm not exactly sure about this position. Okay, Bishop E2 is normal. Yeah. Bishop E2, probably going with G4 and Rook G3. Looks slightly better for white, but I'm not exactly sure. Let's go to Le Siege game. Le Siege playing white against Wovk. This is important game. This is important game because if Le Siege holds this guy, then everything is going to be way easier before the last round. So after E4, knight takes E4, bishop E4, normal, very normal position, and I actually find it very important that Le Siege against their best player has white pieces, which is very nice. Okay, so Raven start against. Oh, Raven start sack a piece. That is very interesting. So after A4, bishop G4, H3, C3. He opted for this one. went for knight f4 and sacked a piece like this. This is nice. Actually, this is just a temporary sack of the piece because he can play now h6 and get a piece back. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, so probably in this position h6. Probably h6. I don't see anything else. Yeah, knight after g5. I don't see anything else but h6. Exactly. He just wants to get a piece back. Interesting position. I like it. And eventually Aman's position after bishop b4, bishop d2, c5. We spoke about this position, and I definitely think that Aman should take on c3, take on g2, exchange these light square bishops, play something. This just looks good for black. This just looks good for black. I don't see any problems in Aman's game. So if knight c3, bishop c3, bishop g2, king g2, black can play some queen e7 or even queen c7, and I don't see any difficulties there. Eric Hansen against Ehrenberg. We analyzed this: queen d4, bishop f5, rook g1. He played bishop e2, rook d2, queen f4, and once again Eric managed to set position where he's got like a lot of maneuvering. I very much like this. And bishop f1. What a great understanding he shows in positions with the bishop pair. And not just that, he also all the time shows that being patient in these positions and know how to maneuver and how to actually go with all these pieces around is very important when you play on a high level. This is a typical, you don't have to play always concrete moves to threaten something. I mean, just be patient, just patience. Everything is patience in chess. Look at Carlsen. Okay, Le Siege, he's still doing better against Wolf, but it's his turn. Brian Smith against Ravensterd. So after queen g6, knight g5, h6, rook f7, captured everything, and he's down a piece. Well, it will be very difficult for him to save this game that easily. But okay, I mean, black has something in return in this position. It's the bishop pair. Black has something in return in this position, and those bishops look really good. Okay, so spinal tap or Tom Bartel against Aman Hambleton. So Aman captured by knight. I stated that Aman's position was great there. Bishop g5. Well, if bishop g5, probably some queen g5, queen d4, and to play a game like this. Yeah, bishop g5 is interesting because d4 bishop is hanging, so even knight takes c3 looks pretty tempting here. Knight takes c3, threatening queen, and if bishop d8, knight d1, And if bishop e7, bishop d8, bishop a8, rook d8. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what is he going to opt for. He's now taking so much time. Eric Hansen keeps squeezing out his opponent. Le Siège is a bit better, but I just have to say it's not as, you know, as good as it was few minutes ago. Probably king g2 here. Move the knight to g5 and e6 eventually, or just play queen e2 or something like this. Brian Smith against Raven Sturt. So Brian Smith is up on exchange, and the things don't look that good for chessbrah in at this moment. So Aman's position is unclear. It's his turn, but I'm not fully satisfied with this game. Actually, I was very satisfied when he played 95, but I really didn't understand the idea behind bishop d4. So I really don't know what to say. By the way, this is not vodka, so, but we're not going to advertise products here. So bishop takes, knight takes c3. I spoke about this. Knight takes d1 now. And if bishop d7 or bishop takes a1, bishop takes a8. Okay, or this one first. Aman opted for this one, huh? Ooh, I like this one. Queen takes d4 doesn't work in a view of knight e2. If king takes, then rook takes d8 or bishop takes e5. Yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. So bishop d8, bishop g2. In some of these variations, black might end up with 3 pieces for the queen, so it could be interesting. But 3 pieces for the queen usually give you a great positions. Bishop g2. Aman's position now doesn't look that bad. Elias asked, what if queen d2? Nothing. You're not threatening anything. I can take on f1, I can take on d2. You can never touch my knight on d4. That's the point. So, okay, Brian Smith against Raven Sturt. Brian is slowly but surely getting more and more solid position. Le Siège. He's white in this situation. e6 looks weak, but okay, king on g7 also looks pretty weak. Yeah, and that is nice. And finally, Eric Hansen against Sergei Edinburgh. So after bishop f1, king d8, rook d4, king b2. I mentioned king b2 at some point. That's a typical Eric's move. King, okay, and now he played rook to a1 and tried to break. Oh, did he blunder this? Did he blunder this or maybe not? That's what I'm interested in. But he doesn't want to take on b6 because of some bishop b3, and because he would lose the bishop pair. But he keeps playing with the bishop pair at all costs. Now, for example, g4, g5. But okay, this Edinburgh, he's also very strong at defending himself. What is Eric trying to do at the moment? He's just trying to somehow open the game up, especially on the queen side where his pawns are, where he's got like 3 pawns against 4 on the queen side. Also, these pawns are kind of static and bishop doesn't do anything. So that's why black, well, I don't know what is he supposed to do here. He played g4 probably with the idea to play f4 and g5 at some point and breaking these pawns on g7, on f6, on h6. Okay, and now I guess rook to g1 followed by f4 and g5. Okay. So while we're waiting for his move, Le Siege keeps improving his game on the king's side. Bishop is just better than knight. This pawn on e6 is maybe going to be taken at some point by black, but you just have to be ready to come up with some counter attacks with black. Yeah, okay, queen b5. Okay, Brian Smith against Ravens third. He's trying to defend this practically very difficult position to defend, and most likely this is just a technical part of the game where black has to finish him off. Sorry, white. Okay, and now he should capture knight takes f6, and Raven's third is going to resign. After such a beautiful win, I guess it affected him so bad because he probably was so excited and so happy to win that game. But okay, I mean, that's sport. Here, rook takes e5, for example, can win the game right now. Rook takes e5, and black is immediately completely lost. Okay, actually rook e5, wait a sec, king takes h6. This could be now interesting, because he can't take a rook e5, what I previously suggested. Okay, this would be very interesting to see what is Smith going to do in this position. But apparently white even has some options of giving the pawn back and getting like more of space or whatever. Anyways, Aman Hambleton, once again Aman playing with the knight. Once again he's up a pawn. So we actually had a chance to see this position. He grabbed the queen, played this one, and now he's clearly up a pawn. Nice, Aman. That's a good thing. That's finally something good and something active for black. I like this one a lot. Okay, all Aman has to do here is to trade off these rooks and to play with the pawn up. Okay, so he's a fighter and he's going to fight very hard here. Well, he can go with rook c8, but then he's just getting closer to the center. To the draw. So I'm not sure. I mean, if rook c8, this is the same position for the second time. Okay. He now just wants to solidify his king and do the march where his king will eventually come to d7. Oh, bishop b8. Are you kidding me about this move? I mean, what is he threatening? He's not threatening anything. That's the craziest thing. King f7, man, let's go. He's not threatening anything. This just looks cheap. It just looks cheap. On bishop a7, you'll capture by knight, you'll defend your rear work, and your position will be better. Bishop e8 just looks attractive, but it does nothing. It does nothing. I mean, you shouldn't take it for granted. It didn't work in this position, so it was bad. Okay. So now he probably doesn't have to move the bishop immediately, but I guess he can play black can play a6, b5, because white cannot do absolutely anything against this, and they cannot take advantage of these pawns being on the dark squares and using these tricks, because simply we're not going to react. Okay, Eric Hansen against Sergei Ehrenburg. Eric is slowly but surely squeezing out his position. We stopped here. Eric kept improving on his game. Played f4, played rook g1 to play g5. He played b4 to cut off all counter chances by black. Rook a1. Finally, he decided to break. And I guess now this is around equal, because the material is so reduced that you can hardly play this position and say I'm ready to push this for a win, because this is pretty reduced amount of material, and black's chances to make a draw in this position are really high. Okay. Alexander Lesiège, it turned out that he ended up being 2 pawns down from such a great position, and this is very, very dangerous. Finally, in this situation, yeah, Raven lost that game. We already saw this game, and eventually Tom Bertel played a4. So pawns, they're not supposed to be on the up. I mean, here you cannot even put them, for example, on. I mean, this knight on c6 blocks them. So what is white gonna do? I guess bishop d6, b4, b5. I don't see how is he going to make break in this position. Once again, this bishop on b8 looks good, but it's nothing. But okay, so a4. We just keep waiting for the other games and to finish the other games. Eric's game will be most likely a draw. Eric is down a pawn, although he's got a pretty huge compensation with the bishop pair. So this is 100% is going to be a draw. Okay, Lesiège is lost. Lesiège is lost. He had a great position out of the opening, even in that first part of the middle game, but afterwards he just collapsed, and yeah, now he's lost. And finally, so this one, Raven lost, and let me just put it here. Okay, so Lesiège trying to save his position, but it's simply not going to work. Couple of checks, They're just going to hide this king on e5. They will go after the pawn on a2, and this is completely lost, especially considering the fact that knight on c5 controls a4, controls e6. Yeah, this is lost. Le Siege is going to lose, unfortunately, and this is getting very, very dangerous because Hambleton in that position is, I mean, he's up a pawn, but will he be able to win? And Eric Hansen can certainly not push this position for a win, so it's gonna be a draw. And most likely, once again, Montreal chessbrah are going to lose 2.5 to 1.5. I mean, I just give you my predictions, judging by assessments of these games. Okay. Some people don't even believe that Eric can save this position. He's got nothing to save there. I mean, his position is easily equal. He's probably trying to find something, but in this position, it's almost unbelievable. So it is going to be a draw. Wovk beat Le Siege. Unfortunately, that was the way it is. Okay, Smirt beat Ravensterd, and like you see, we only have the game between Hambleton, who's up a pawn, against Tom Bartel, and he's winning. Good job, master. Good job, master. So after king d5, b5, pawns on the opposite color of the bishop, and I believe that Hambleton just won. Why do we like this guy so much? Because at some point he needs to work out. He needs to win, and those are usually very, very important games. Just like when he drew against Carlsen. So f5, and this guy resigned. Okay, good, very important win for the chessbrah team. Man Hambleton won, and he's now on 50%, 1.5 out of 3. Le Siege, 1.5 out of 3, and Hansen is still playing. He's 2 out of 2, and I mean, in today's match, Eric played b5. He just wants to go for the c7 pawn, and then wants to go for the pawn on b6. Yeah, this could be interesting. What if knight e8? If knight e8, knight g4, then bishop g4, and this is draw. Then bishop g4, and this is draw. Yeah, this is draw. So will be very interesting to see the final round. Before this round, Montreal chessbrah were leading 5-3. They're going to lose this round. They're going to lose. So Hambleton won. Hambleton, congratulations, great job. On the other hand, Eric offered draw. This guy rejected a draw offer, and this really is a draw. And finally, now Ehrenberg offered Eric a draw, and they eventually made the draw. And finally, Eric drew his game right now. Eric brought half a point, important half a point. Hambleton won, and once again, after third round, we once again lost in the third round, and after 3 rounds, we're actually leading 6.5 to 5.5. Actually, chessbrah team after first round made such a nice score that it's so nice. Now these 3.5 to half. Previous round they won 2.5 to 1.5. This round they won 2.5 to 1.5, and they're still lost. But this is going to be very intense match, 6.5 to 5.5, and let's see what's gonna happen. Let's hear some music. I just need to take something to drink. You know what? The life is hard. So let's get some drinks. Okay. It's interesting. 6.5 to 5.5. Pretty intense match, but it's nothing unusual for the chessbrah theme, and usually last rounds are decisive rounds for the chessbrah theme, and I hope that our players will have strength. Don't forget, they just came from New York. They actually play there for the chessbrah theme. Eric Hansen on first board made 6 out of 6. Tommy, my favorite drink is Jim Beam. So now you know it, man. Okay. Now we just wait for the last round to start. For the last round to start, let's be patient. And I can't wait to see what's gonna happen there. Will be very, very tough match. Actually, it's already very tough. Luckily, we won the first round with, in such an impressive way. And now it turns out to be enough. But let's see what's gonna happen in the last round. Usually those last rounds are the most difficult rounds. Now Eric is going to play against their best player. So Andrei Wovk. I believe that Eric once played against him, and Eric beat him with white pieces in 23 moves. At that time I was actively coaching Eric, and he just opted for some of the analysis that we made together. But I'm not sure if that's because there are 2 WoW guys. I believe this is the one. Then Le Siege, he's going to face Edinburgh. It is going to be a tough match, but these guys are they just have similar chess styles, so I expect something around draw. Hambleton is going to face Brian Smith. They're also around the same. And eventually Raven Sturt. Who is he going to? Tom Bartel. And they're also, okay, Tom Bartel is slight favorite, but it's gonna be very difficult. Anything can happen in the last round. Let's just hope for the best, and let's wait for this games. Okay, people. So we're just waiting for the last round to start. This is gonna be very, very intense match. So far, Eric Hansen 2.5 out of 3, Le Siege 1.5 out of 3, Hambleton 1.5 out of 3, and Raven Sturt, after such a great start and that fantastic bishop c4 move, and then he lost 2 games. Unfortunately, he's on 1 out of 3. 2 points to go, and yeah, but sometimes it's too difficult to get those points, man. So we're still waiting for the games to begin. Yeah, we're still waiting for the games to begin. And here we go. We're in the last round of the Pro Chess League. Final round before deciding who's gonna go through and who's gonna play. Who's gonna qualify for the playoffs. So get ready for the crucial game. Wovk against Hansen. Wovk against Hansen. Wovk played e4. Eric opted for his favorite opening lately. It's e5. Once again Italian. That looks like Rai Lopez type of the game. This became so popular. This became so popular. Okay, so like I told you previously here, black's plan is a6, making shelter for the bishop on a7, and then bringing your knight to via e7 to g6, and actually storming all your pieces on the king side into attack. But okay, he opted for some b4 and a4, which is a little bit less common in practice. Okay, there is another typical knight bd2 castles, rook e1, knight f1, knight g3. But oh, I know this one. If I remember correctly, Udasin played like this. His first game against, was it Le Siege, was it Li Chao, and eventually he lost the game. But doesn't matter. Position is just unclear. Next game is Edinburgh against Le Siege. Once again, e4, e5. e5 definitely the main choice by black players against e4. And this is very interesting. In most of these league games, we see e4 first move. After bishop e4, knight f6 castles, bishop e7, a4, a4. I knew for a3, knight a5, bishop a2. But a4, and now they have two moves. Rook b8, flexibility, or just b4, breaking and disconnecting these pawns, or the one that he played, develop the light square bishop somewhere and complete development. So c3, saving the bishop, and just goes for some d4, probably knight bd2 and rook to e1. Okay. So knight bd2, rook to e1, knight f1, knight g3, d4, and white really looks good in that position. Okay, let's find two more games because this is the last round. Basically, this round is not going to decide the opening of this match. Of this and the qualifier, because both teams already qualified. But it's important because in some calculations, Montreal chessbrahs can play against weaker team in the playoffs. So after f3, Aman once again opted for his Samish variation, and here we go. One of the main lines in the Samish, but I don't like this knight on B on d7, and I actually like Aman's approach there. He knew that this Brian guy, Brian Smith, likes to play this typical a6, knight bd7 and c5 plan, and he now just played very flexible setup. So if captures, knight will capture, and he's gonna get a good game. He can also go with g4, h4, h5, going with the attack, and knight on d7 doesn't have like a full prosperity and possibility to attack on the queen side there. So this is interesting. This is interesting. Queen c7, king b1. It's white's turn. It's white's turn. What can be white's plan in this position? To play d5 to close the center, and then to be provoked after b5 by black. What to do? To take, and to do. To take everything. Or just not to touch anything and to wait. I believe it's way better to take in that case, but okay. More about this some other time. And now let's see derby of underdogs in this tournament. Ravensthird against Tom Bartel. Ravensthird played d4. Bishop d2. This is the most solid. This is the most solid against the Bogo Indian. Another possibility is knight bd2 followed by g3 and bishop g2. So after queen e7, knight c3, castles g3. Okay, everything is normal. Bishop c3 and e5. Bishop c3 and e5. This is normal setup for black, especially because they break with e5 and they just want to get some sort of king side attack and activity. cope with not knight b8, not knight b8. This knight has to go on e7, and afterwards knight g6, and afterwards bishop g4, queen d7, and h5 and h4. But okay, he played knight b8. It's typical for these positions. It's typical for Bogo. And bishop g4. He provokes him to play f3, in which case he would bring the bishop back and play knight a6, followed by knight to c5. But okay, it's White's turn. Let's take a look at Hansen's game. So his opponent played b4, a4, a5, knight e7, and Eric opted for the plan I constantly kept talking about. Bishop on a7, knight goes to g6, and another knight goes to h5, queen comes to f6, or first h6 in order to not to face some knight h5, bishop g5 by white, where your queen would be trapped. So after knight c4, bishop c5, castles, bishop e6, and this is normal position. Let's go back to Brian Smith game. So after castles, queen c7, king to b1, looks absolutely normal, looks okay, and on a long term, white definitely looks better here. Okay, while we're waiting for the black move, here we go. Knight bd2, knight a5, captured, played d4, and played. Did he have to play? I mean, in this position, knight c6. Okay, rook takes, queen takes, and now you played d4. And after knight b4, why didn't you play? But you can't. Yeah. Okay, so this would be interesting to see. What is he going to do? Le siège position doesn't look that bad. A Raven's third against Spinal Tap. Okay, maybe it's time to just time to reload the page and to get all these games again very easily. So this was the game between Raven's third, bishop g4, queen c2, knight bd7, and knight c5. I definitely prefer White's position. Don't forget, guys, we need 2 points to win this match. At the moment, we're in the last round of the Montreal chessbrah against Philadelphia in Winters. We're tying for first. These guys are clearly third, and this is one of the derbies of this match. Actually, Buenos Aires Krakens put all their eyes into this match, and if we lose, we're not going to get it, or at least tie the first place. F4, yeah, I like it. He's got a bishop here. He opens up the game. That's nice. That's nice, and probably this knight, yeah, it belongs to d3, usually getting ready for another knight and just having like a better game, but okay. Okay, so White seems to be easily better in this position. Wovk, Hansen, what I don't like is the fact that his opponent possessing a bishop pair, but what I like is actually the fact that these bishops are not that dangerous because they don't have such a big activity. You can even play bishop c5, bishop d4 with black pieces. And finally, Ehrenberg against Le Siège. Ehrenberg against Le Siège. This is nice. This is nice. As far as I see, Le Siège will be able to easily hold this guy with the black pieces at least. But okay, objectively speaking, this should be drawn. And finally, Hambleton against Brian Smith. After f3, bishop e3, queen d2 c5, king b1 b5. Exactly. You grab the pawn, played knight c3, and now at least they have an open b file. That's what I don't like about these positions. I don't say that white should always defend himself properly, and black is always going to have and to launch a very logical attack, but you know what, when you compile these two things, it could be kind of dangerous, because a4 is serious weakening of your king, and on the other hand, this knight on b5 is almost untouchable. So yeah, let's take a look at this game. White is clearly better in this position. Wolf again sorry, Wolf against Hansen. Eric is getting better and better. This is going to be and would be important to be a draw. Le Siege, just not to lose, and he won. These are his positions, and also, yeah, this looks more or less classic. And eventually, bishop a6 followed by rook f to b8. So queen to c6, rook f to b8. Yeah, it's a normal game, but I still like this knight on b5. The fact that it's kind of untouchable knight, so I like it. Bishop h6, exchanging the dragon bishop, and one of the killers in a black's game. I like this one. And I know how much we all who play dragon hate this kind of move with black pieces. Okay, so let me just go back to threatens to take, so he will have to do something to either push the pawn to d5 and to keep waiting and to keep prolonging black to take there, or to play a4, maintaining the knight on b5. But there is also a third possibility, but this one probably shouldn't bring you anything that special. It's the thing with, for example, h4, and then at some point sacking all these, even bishop and the rook, for the knight on b5 and getting like 2 pieces for the rook. This is interesting. Okay, at the moment we're just looking at this position. I like Eric's approach. So how was it? Knight e5, captured by pawn. He placed the knight on absolutely the best square, took everything, and now tried to exchange these dark square bishops. We're getting closer to the end of tonight's match. That is not going to decide absolutely anything, because both of these teams qualified, except like one thing. I mean, there were some calculations before this round, and I'm not sure what should happen if the Montreal chessbrah win and the opposite. So rook to d3. Yeah, this looks absolutely okay for white. He's got a strong bishop on b3. He's got a potentially weak outpost on f7. And considering all these things at the same time, we just have to say that white is better even in that type of an endgame. It's not a big advantage. The only things about that position positions are that he's got a pretty annoying pin and attack on the f7 pawn, and that's the way it is. How is Aman doing there? Aman keeps waiting. I don't like that one. Ehrenberg against Le Siège, 6-6. And this is interesting moment because you have like, yeah, okay, bishop takes e3 is bad because of knight takes e3. And if knight h5, that could be interesting move here. So black just wants to play some knight f4, jumping on f4 and slowly but surely organizing the attack on the king side. Okay, g6. Stops knight f5, kind of limiting these pieces. Also, maybe just wants to play king g7 to get closer to the center. You never know. Okay. Okay, so Wovk against Eric, a bit better for Wovk. This is game between Ravenstert and Tom Bartel. Some complete madness on the board, but I like white. He's trying to open up the game, and he wouldn't be able to do that anyhow but with f4 and bishop on c3, so it's nice. Well, we're just entering into the last round of this very interesting match. Will be very, very, very difficult. Queen d2. Okay, makes sense. Controls the dark squares. Threatens on a5. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, let me just take one more glass of water because I finally sit here and finish off this. Just a moment. So let's go. Crucial rounds. Fourth round. Raven took on c6. He now just wants to take on d6. I like this move. He's gonna take on d6. He's gonna win a pawn. That's a good thing. I like this one. He's better. Here, knight and queen are usually doing better than bishop and queen, but that bishop on d5 was nice because he was hitting on f7, but this is Eric Hansen, and we fully have right to believe that for sure he's not gonna lose this one. Okay. This is good. Yeah, this is good. Sergei Ehrenberg against Alexander Le Siège. 3-6, a bit better game for Le Siège, but let's say Ehrenberg could defend here, so it's no big deal. And Aman's game is completely crazy. I mean, totally unclear and without any predictions here. But okay, he's up a pawn. He can maybe organize his attack with h4 and h5, and that looks okay. What I'm trying to say, we need 2 points. As far as I see, Raven's 30 is better. Wolf Janssen, let's say equal. Edinburgh against Le Siège, it's around equal. So this is nice. This is nice, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay position. Eric now tries to promote this pawn. Worst case scenario, he can take on d5 and play that endgame, and I don't think he would even have any problems in that type of an endgame. Okay. So, as usual, when chessbrah plays last round, all these games are very difficult, or these games are double-edged, and everything depends on the last move in the last game. I kind of hate that, because I actually wish I could relax more and take more of my favorite drinks, but it simply doesn't work this way. And by the way, right now I'm on water. What I like about this bishop on d5 is it controls the a8 square, and controlling the a8 square, we cannot reach a8 by our rook, but okay, I mean, still push the a3, or play a rook to b8. I really don't see what's wrong with the rook to b8. Rook b8, queen c7. Well, he now threatens to push b6 and to play b7, and it will be very difficult position if b6 and bishop b7. Also, okay, once Capablanca said that in cooperation, queen and knight are usually better than queen and bishop, but of course we can just apply the rules that we spoke about previously in positions, open positions, where you just have pawns on both sides. Okay. Eric makes these very difficult moves to face and to deal with. He's creating his own passed pawn, and he's creating his own chance in this game. Anyways, Eric's position is around equal. Raven's third, he's winning. He's winning, and he has to finish this guy off and to say, yeah, we managed to win this match. That's very important. That's very important. So rook f8, queen f8, bishop takes a5, rook takes, captured, and cannot take on e4 because of so many tricks. So after queen to h6, it's black to move. And if b takes c6, then they should probably play rook to f1 and play knight f3 followed by knight g5 in that position. But okay, this still looks good for us. Our team leading 6.5 to 5.5 before the last round. Queen g5 here. Queen g5 threatening queen d8 to win the rook. So this could be nice. Stops queen. Oh, I like this one. C takes b7. What a nice intermediary move. Intermediary moves are usually what people blunder in these type of games. Now he's up a pawn. Now he's up a pawn, and this is good. This is good. Now he's up a pawn. Actually, he's gonna be up 2 pawns, and that should be enough. Knight e4, he just played rook f2, and then play knight f3, kicking this knight away. Probably they will play bishop g4, but then you have time for h3, I guess. h3, king h2, g4, and then play knight f3, or just knight f3, immediately getting rid of this piece. So, okay, I very much like Raven's position. Hansen took on d5 eventually. He probably evaluated that he has to do it in order to not anymore to give white possibility to attack on f7 to control promotional a8 square. And of course, this is more or less normal if you want to equalize. So knight d5. Okay, so we wait for Wolf's move and idea in this position. So e takes d5. Rook b8. Eric is going to win pawn once again. Okay, one thing is good. He's not going to lose this game. He's not going to lose this game. This is very important. He was black against their best player. And now let's just see. Here queen takes b6. Here queen takes b6 with almost an immediate draw. An immediate draw. Okay, let's move to another game. Raven Stewart. Stewart. Okay, he keeps limiting this knight and wants to play some maybe even knight f3. Yes, somebody asked me, can we check Aman's next game? Of course we can. Aman's game is this one. Aman is still up a pawn. It's not easy to play this. I can see a lot of tactics. Knight a4. He's defending like crazy. Way more difficult to defend this position than playing for Okay, so rook c4. Idea is probably some e5 followed by knight e4. e5 followed by knight e4. Queen f8, removing the queen from potential pin and going at some point to queen g7, trading off this queens, which is good. Okay, let's take a look at Le Siège. He's slowly but surely squeezing out his opponent. It looks like bishop f3, trading of the queens. But no matter what, Le Siège is the one who plays for something here. Okay, this is Eric Hansen against Andrei Wolf. Objectively speaking, this is theoretical draw. 5 against 4 on the same side shouldn't be draw because you create a passed pawn on the d file and then you play. 4 against 3 should be draw. 3 against 2 should be draw. 2 against 1 is draw as well. So I was talking about the games with let me just take a look at this one. Okay, this is theoretically drawn position. Edinburgh. Well, let's take a look at his position briefly. I kind of like Black's game, but Black doesn't have a way to attack more the pawn on b3 unless he wants to break, with g5. Bishop d3, putting him in some sort of Zugzwang. Amazing! Amazing! He's gonna win the e4 pawn, and will Le Siège win? Oh my god, what a great way to squeeze him out. Bishop e2, bishop c2, nice, man. Oh, maybe bishop c4 now. Maybe bishop c4 now, just give me a sec. Yeah, but he always have a way to break now with f5. We just need to see this game until its end. So this is one of the crucial moments here. Now he's in Zugzwang because he can't move the bishop, he can't move the knight. Bishop cannot go here because e4 is hanging, and this is win. Such an important win for the Montreal chessbrah and Le Siège. Oh, I can't see. Actually, I can't wait to see him winning this game. Oh my god, what a nice trick. Do you know how do we call this? Zugzwang, because they don't have a good move. They don't have a good move, and I believe it's time to cheer for this win. I believe this could be a key moment of tonight's match. Le Siège, killer with white pieces, but tonight he actually played one of the key moments of this match. Okay, we'll keep waiting. I was just, you know what? I was just waiting for a moment to cheer, and I was waiting for this so much, and you actually made me so happy. So bishop takes b3. He's gonna win. Let me take a look. Oh, Hambleton against Brian Smith. Aman is lost. Unfortunately, Aman is lost. I can't believe. Yeah. He had queen h1, king f2, and rook f3 checkmate, but he missed it. He still has queen h1, king f2, rook f3 checkmate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He still has, not anymore. No, he still had checkmate. Wow, he blundered like so many checkmates there. Yeah, h4. Yeah, okay. Aman is going to lose this game. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And by the way, if they win 2.5 to 1.5, this is going to be a drawn match. Aman just lost. Unfortunately, Aman lost this game. We're looking at a game of Le Siège, who's slowly but surely squeezing his opponent out, and we wait for him to win this one. This is completely winning. Okay, perfect. Now he's going to play bishop somewhere, for example to e4, play bishop b2, b1, and that's it. Bishop g4 doesn't change anything. Now bishop e4, man. Okay, threatens f4. This is good. This is good. Bishop e4 now. Exactly. And now take, defend, and push these pawns. This should be piece of cake. He created a passer. King to e3. Why not king to e3? Okay, perfect. Alexander Le Siège is going to win. And every moment I expect from his opponent to resign. Queen c2. Exactly. Le Siège has just won his game against Sergei Ehrenberg. Such an important game. Such an important win. And I believe this was one of the key moments in this match. So Le Siège won, and that was very, very important game. Let's take a look at Eric Hansen. He's playing against Wovk. We just added this game. I couldn't. Oh, wait a sec. It takes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Eric Hansen won. Eric Hansen won, and that actually means that Eric, making 3.5 out of 4, absolutely won this match for the Montreal chessbrahs. Congratulations on this great win. I'm just going to replay these moves, but before that, let me just see what is Raven Sturt going to do. So Eric Hansen, what a beast, what a beast. Spinal tap won by resignation, which means last round Le Siège won, Hansen won, and Hamilton lost, and Raven Sturt lost, which means last round was 2-2, and eventually it ended up that where Montreal chessbrahs won 8.5 to 7.5. What a great match. Once again, until last moments, we simply didn't know what was happening in the match. And let's just take a look at Eric Hansen's end game. Congratulations.